It's never too late to start or start over. Welcome back, friends. Happy Monday. I hope you're all doing well. So there's a couple of questions floating around out there, one of which I probably should have addressed earlier on. And it is regarding these Owry grips and the best way to install them. All the while I was talking about the ESI grips and how you needed to use hand sanitizer really to get those things on because they were so tight. These Owry grips are not tight. And what I used was just isopropyl alcohol and not much isopropyl alcohol. I've got it in one of these little spray bottles, and I think on the first grip I may have done 3 or 4 squirts inside the grip and it just slipped right on. And the second one, I think I only did like 2 squirts, and it still slipped on. Once you do that, it's going to take probably 24 hours before all that alcohol evaporates and the grips, stop moving. The first grip, it took probably 36 plus hours before it finally all dried out. So just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, make sure the bar is clean, obviously. The other thing I would do is have some kind of a plug in the end of your bar. Like the North Road bar comes with a plug already in it. The terminal bar that I've got on my long haul trucker, is just open. So I just took a couple of random handlebar plugs and plugged up the end of the bar. Now what that does is, if the bike ever falls over and the handlebar hits the concrete, you're not going to cut the end of the grip, or you're going to be less likely to cut the end of the grip. And most bike shops have a tub of random handlebar plugs that they'll sell you and or give you. So, and this, you don't have to have this, but if you're doing a lot, I'm pretty sure this just came from like the travel bottle section of Target or someplace like that. So that's the first thing. Mel, who supports the channel on Patreon, thank you very much, Mel, asked about using the center strut from the, or basically, could you use the Velo Orange flat pack rack with his A-Homer Hilson? Now, for those of you who don't know, the A-Homer Hilson uses a caliper, standard caliper road brake, has brazons on the center, the middle of the fork, but nothing at the top, as memory serves. And I wasn't in the shop when I got the question, and I thought, it's probably not going to work, but because I care, I came in and just kind of tried to mock it up a little bit with the fork from my long haul trucker, and I just don't think it's going to work. If you look at this picture, that the only way to run that is up over the top, obviously, because you can't run it underneath because of the tire and the brake, and there's just no room for the bottom cup of the headset. Versus the diving board on the Obento rack, which comes up and then out, giving you room for the headset cup. The other question I had was, could you use that center strut from the flat pack rack on the Obento. And, you know, my first question was, why would you want to do that? But the second thing is the slats, for lack of a better word, on the Obento are right in the middle. And the ones on the, do I have that right? The Bento is in the middle. The flat pack rack, they're on either side. So, or do I have that the other way around? Crap. Trying to figure out exactly why they wanted to do that, but it doesn't matter. I just don't think it's worth the trouble, is the kind of the punchline there. The last thing is, you know, are you familiar with Mark Sisson? I probably have talked about him before, maybe not. He was a kind of an Olympic level marathon runner, I think. And then in the 90s, he was a relatively successful triathlete. And he wrote a book later in life called The Primal Blueprint. And it was one of the first books about, you know, the kind of paleo diet, lifestyle, whatever you want to call it. It was basically the end result of him trying to figure out how to make his own health better. And I still follow what he does, and he sends out an email every Sunday. And the last email was very interesting. It kind of struck a chord with me because he talked about how the fact that it's never too late to start over. It's never too late to start something new. That, you know, people that get into their 40s and 50s and 60s even, you know, they think it's just over. And he didn't get his big break, according to him, until he was 65. So that resonated with me because I feel like I've started over 4 or 5 times over the last 5 or 6 years. And it's not always easy. So if you think about starting a new activity, getting into shape, riding a bike, it's never too late to start doing that. Yeah, I was really hoping to be able to link to that post, but it doesn't seem to be archived anywhere. I mean, it's just an email that goes out, sadly enough. But to that end, you know, I've been doing these videos now for 4 years, I think, and pretty much weekly for the last 2.5 to 3 years. And I'm going to take a little break. I left this till the end because I figured that, you know, only the true diehards are still watching. But I'm going to take a little break, a week, maybe 2. I'm still going to post some updates to Patreon, so no worries there. I've got some rides planned. James is going to build me some wheels for the hardtack, so I'm finally going to start building that, so we'll have that to talk about. And I think James and I are going to have another little chat via Skype or Zoom or one of those things, and I will, of course, share all that with you. So if you don't see me for a week or 2, never fear. We'll call it a mental health break. And then I will once again start over. I hope something good happens to you today.